and welcome to the Unthinkable Tech Podcast, the go-to source for the pulse on technology that's shaping our future. I'm your host Anmol Satija, and today we are here to talk about how human emotions can shape user experiences. You must have been to a restaurant where you just loved everything about it. The place looked great, the staff was friendly, and the food was awesome. You would probably want to go back there, right? That's because it made you feel good. Well, it's kind of the same with digital platforms. If they make you feel good, you are going to like using them. When we use digital platforms, we not only experience their function, but also their emotional impact. This impact is intentionally designed by the creators who consider not only the visual appeal but also the emotional experiences. So, in today's episode, we will explore how these emotional responses are generated, how they influence our preferences and behaviors, and the potential consequences of effective and ineffective design. So, today we have with us Ravin Kumar, the UI UX COE lead at Unthinkable Solutions. He has an extensive experience in designing digital platforms and knows the nitty gritty of making a digital product stand out. Thanks for joining us, Ravin.
Thank you, Anmol. Glad to be here to talk on this wonderful topic.
So, Ravin, to get started on our discussion, I would love to delve into the concept of emotional design in user experience. Can you walk us through what it means and why is it important to have an emotional connection with your user?
Sure, Anmol. So we all know emotions, right? It's pretty much straightforward. And we know that the main defining moments in our lives are typically associated with some sort of emotional states. And we all have our own ways of expressing it. For example, when we gain grades that are necessary to go to our favorite school, we feel happy, and we feel other way around if we in off cases when we cannot. So talking about the process over here, emotional design is a practice of creating products that invokes, or you can call trigger, some specific emotions in the user. It's about creating an experience that goes beyond mere just functionality, but it basically connects with the user on human level. So emotion, play a pivotal role in decision making, memory, and human interactions. And designers can create more engaging, memorable, and effective user experiences by leveraging them. Well, it's not just about creating or cultivating just the positive emotions always. It sometimes involves the intentionally invocation, I would say, of negative emotions as well, to achieve some specific user experience goal or to drive certain user behavior. So this approach can be used to convey seriousness, create urgency, or in a fear of anything, or to highlight the importance of an issue. For example, in a recent project named as Verency, so I'll give you an overview about that product first. So the product was designed to let the users know about their carbon footprints by analyzing their spendings and activities. So what we did there, we have tried to trigger a negative set of emotions that is called as guilt, to encourage them to offset their carbon footprints by spending some amount of money in green initiatives. So that's how. But while doing this, we have realized that it's also sometimes becomes very tricky. And here is the take: the use of negative emotions in the design should be done thoughtfully and really ethically also. So by ensuring that the end goal is always to benefit the users, whether it's through promoting some sort of positive behavioral changes, drawing attention to an important issue, or enhancing the overall effectiveness of the user experience. If I talk about some another example, Airbnb is another good very good example, wherein they have they use emotional design to create a sense of belonging and community. So their interface is designed to inspire trust and safety by showcasing user profiles, reviews, and personal stories, etc. It is simply just to make the experience more relatable to human, so that they can gain some confidence on emotional level. So to conclude, it's really important to look into the emotional state of the end users, to connect with the end users, and to analyze them on human level and craft something that they love using it.
That's fascinating. And I think the idea of using both positive and negative emotions in design is truly intriguing. And it is clear that emotional design has the power to create deeply impactful user experiences. And now I'm very curious, how do you strike that delicate balance between functional usability and emotional impact in your design? Is it like a constant tug of war that is happening, or are there specific strategies you employ to achieve both effectively?
All right, let's see and try to understand the interplay between functionality and emotions in design, particularly. So, it's like walking on a tightrope. On one side, you have got a solid grounds of functional usability, and this is where everything must be intuitive and straightforward. And it's also it's about making sure that users can navigate effortlessly through it and gets thing done without a hitch. But then there is the another side, the whole other side of it, that is the emotional landscape. So imagine you are creating a story through your design, and you are not just arranging pixels and code. You are weaving a narrative that taps into the heart of user experience. It's about choosing the right colors, the right set of typography, and those tiny, almost magical interactions that bring a smile to someone's face, whoever is using it. So these little touches, they are like a spice, spices in a dish. They basically make all the difference, giving the users a sense of achievement or maybe a moment of delight altogether. So you know but here is the trick, like we have already discussed, that you have to keep it very simple and straightforward. Like everything should be in harmony, and the too much spices, and you definitely will overwhelm the users senses. So you know and the way you achieve it is to test and tweak, watch how users react, and make sure those emotional touches enhance overall, I mean, they enhance the overall experience without overshadowing the core functionality. um, Also, there is one more thing that I would like to talk about, that we as a designer, we always aims for universal design principles. And by this, what I mean is, like, we the accessibility and usability check, the uniform accessibility and usability checks are the way that how we achieve these universal design principles. And when I say universal design principle, it means that every user should be considered while you are working or designing any product. So every single user deserves to feel that emotional connect, regardless of how actually they are interacting with the product. I'll take another example here. So there was this another project. It was a language learning app. So we primarily have focused on mental state of the users and tried to make the overall journey of learning app as intuitive as possible, with clear progress tracking and bit size lessons. But what sets it apart is the, I mean, its use of playful characters and the positive reinforcements that we have provided. So it cheers the user with each milestones that they are achieving, and it helped us turning that daunting task of learning into a series of rewarding moments for us as well as the user. So it's like that. So we kept we keep iterating, blending usability with emotions, making sure that our designs are not just easy to use but also resonate on human level. So in simple words, I mean, it's like a dance between mind and the heart, and when you find the rhythm, that's where great designs lives.
Wow, That was beautifully put. Totally convinced on the point that design isn't just about function or aesthetics alone. It is about that intricate balance between the two. And I must say, you totally hit the nail with that example of a language learning app. I think it is important to ensure that everyone can connect with the design on an emotional level. It is a powerful reminder for all of us in the creative field that our work has to resonate with the heart as much as it makes sense to the mind. So, now let's consider a different aspect here. There could be a few unfavorable experiences that a user might face while using a digital platform. So, by any chance or in any scenario, can emotional design in any way mitigate the impact, if not completely avoid it?
Yeah, absolutely. Emotional design can play a crucial role in not just mitigating these unfavorable experience you talked about, but also in transforming them into opportunities for positive engagements. So let's break it down a bit, and let's talk about a few examples here. So firstly, emotional design is about crafting an experience that resonates with user on personal level, like we already have discussed. So it's about understanding the psychology behind emotions, and how they basically drive the user's behavior and how they perceive things, right? And then now, like when users encounter issues or frustration within any digital platform, it's the emotional context of the UX that can either amplify their irritation or help them soothe it, basically. So for instance, let's talk about some example. You might have seen those error messages that you generally get on these digital platforms. So no one likes to be told that they have made a mistake, right? But it's an inevitable part of interacting with digital platforms. We cannot do anything with that. But as standard error message, how does it look like? Error message 404, page not found, let's say, which is quite I mean, it is as warm as called leftover cup of coffee. So it's technically informative but emotionally barren. Now imagine the other situation around. You are being shown up an error page that had a friendly mascot with a humorous or empathetic message like, "Whoops! Looks like this page took a day off. Let's get back to you on track." So suddenly the user's frustration is met with humor, which can overall diffuse the situation and create a more positive association with the brand. And let's take another example. So I mean, I pretty like the way that applications handle these loading scenarios in different ways. So let's talk about that a bit. So a user's patience can wear thin if they are actually staring on a blank screen, and it might be frustrating sometime waiting for content to load. But what if during that particular time there is an engaging animation or a game like Google Chrome browser does, right? Or maybe some fun fact displayed. So this approach uses the waiting time to entertain or educate the user about something, which can transform a potentially negative experience into a moment of delight. So the another aspect would be the personalization. I mean, this also plays a very important role when it comes to mitigate these sort of negative experiences. So it plays a huge part in emotional design, of course. When a platform can remember your preferences and suggest relevant content, and you can customize that particular product the way you want, and they also greet you by your name. So overall it basically creates a sense of being understood and valued. This particular connection makes user more forgiving and patient when things don't actually go right as they have expected, because they feel like they are interacting with a system that knows them.
That's an insightful perspective, I must say. I think the most compelling aspect of your emotional design philosophy would be its holistic nature. And it is right that design is not only about visuals or animations, but also an experience that acknowledges the user's feeling at every turn. And I believe it is about creating a space where users feel understood, appreciated, and connected at the same time. So, now this leads me to another related topic that I find crucial in the design process, that is, the color influence. So, as we know, colors have a profound impact on our emotions and can set the mood of an entire digital experience. So, now I am very curious to hear your thoughts on this. How critical is it for designers to consider the influence of color when crafting digital platforms? And how do these colors impact the response and behavior of the audiences?
Color influence is absolutely fundamental in the realm of design, especially when we are creating digital experiences and platforms. It's like the silent language of our digital experience, speaking directly to our emotions and subconscious. You see, every color has its own psychological impact and significance, a kind of emotional weight that they carry and drive, and they also make us how, they define us how we feel and act without us even realizing it. So for designers, this means that choosing the right color palette isn't just about aesthetics and what we see. It's also about effectively communicating the essence of the platform and guiding user behavior. Take for instances, the green color. It's often associated with growth, renewal, and health, right? And that's why you will see it dominating the branding of mainly environment, conscious companies and health and wellness applications. It's not just a pretty shade; it's a strategic decision to invoke a specific emotional response from the audience. And if we talk about, on the other hand, a vibrant color like red can invoke excitement, urgency, or some sort of caution. It's actually great for grabbing attentions, and which is why it is commonly used in main call to action buttons or sales announcements and these kind of places. So yeah, this color also carries a negative annotation along with it, so we have to like carefully use it so that it doesn't become overwhelming for the user and can doesn't create anxiety in the end user's mindset. So when we are talking about colors, we should also talk about the accessibility. High color contrast schemes make content more readable and accessible to everyone, including those people who are with some visual impairments or are having some limitations accessing any content. So thoughtful color choices can ensure that a digital platform is welcoming to a broader audience. Also cultural context cannot be also ignored. Culture impacts these decisions a lot. Color carries different sort of meanings in different societies. So when a digital platform is intended for a global audience, designers must be very sensitive to these nuances to avoid unintended messages or responses. So overall, color is a powerful tool in shaping user experience. It can attract or engage or repel or even influence conversion rates and user retentions. So for designers, it is very important for them to understand the color psychology and its overall impact on the audience. It's not just critical or crucial, it's a responsibility for all the designers. And with every hue selected, we are not just painting a picture, we are setting the environmental tone for the entire user journey on the digital platform.
That's enlightening. And I think what really resonates with me is the idea that color isn't just a visual element, but a psychological one as well. And I believe it is not just about what looks good, but also about what feelings those colors evoke and how they align with the brand's message and goals. I even appreciate you bringing up the importance of cultural sensitivity in design. It is a powerful reminder that our digital platforms need to be inclusive and respectful of all users. Now, this brings me to an even broader consideration within the realm of UI UX. So, we have already touched on the psychological impact of color, right? But let's expand on that a bit more. So, Ravin, according to you, what role does psychology play in your overall design decisions? And how do you go about determining which emotional triggers to implement in your interfaces?
Well, when it comes to incorporating psychology into design, it's about tapping into a few principles that drive human behavior. Principles such as Gestalt's law, which tells us how people perceive order in chaos, or the concept of cognitive load, which reminds us to keep things simple just to avoid overwhelming the user. A designer must know which emotional trigger will work together to create the desired experience. And in order to identify these triggers, we should start by defining the overall emotional journey that we would, want the end users to take on this product. So, the main construct designers can use for this is empathizing with the end users. It's like putting yourself into the user's shoe to understand their motivations, their fears, their desires, and everything all about them. This helps you create an experience that resonates them on a personal level. So, once you have a grip on those basic emotional states of end users, you can start tailoring the experience to meet their needs and connect, with them on more personal and emotional level. I would say everything from color palette to the shape of button can invoke some specific set of feelings, and they can also drive some decisions and lead to actions. So we just recently talked about the color psychology, right? So let's take example from one of our projects that we have concluded recently. So we have designed a banking application, and we all know that money is a sensitive and personal matter for most of the people. They need to feel confident that their finances are in safe hands and also easily manageable through that particular application. Hence, while designing that particular app, the primary psychology goal was to invoke a sense of security and trust. So we know that color plays an important role in defining the overall psychology of product, and taking inspiration from color psychology, we have chosen blue color and have used it, wisely, blending with their main, branding color. And why specifically blue? Because blue is often associated with trust, security, and spaceability. And well, that's not just about it. We also have carefully used a very empathetic language throughout the application to create warmth, a sleek sans serif typography to make it more cleaner, and have focused on some other critical use cases to create that overall trust and warmth in the user's mindset. So, talking in conclusion, psychology isn't just a part of design process, it's the foundation upon which all our design decisions are built. And by understanding and thoughtfully applying these emotional triggers, we aim to create interfaces not only serve a functional purpose but also connects with user.
Rightly said, Ravan. I think it is about the subtle design choices that can make a world of a difference in how users feel and behave. So, now moving further, I would like to talk about the critical advancement that is becoming more and more relevant these days, and that is conversational interfaces. So, how do you see emotional design evolving in these contexts?
Well, let's first understand what is a conversational platform or an application. So, these are applications that can mimic human like conversation either through a text based inputs or voice based inputs. So, as these conversational interfaces become more prevalent, emotional design is entering into an exciting chapter. I see it like that, because in these products, the interaction that we are having with them, it's like we ask a question and they answer it promptly. It's just that they feels a bit monotonous and plain, right? So for example, Verbi is our indigenously built text-based conversational application that basically leverages chat GPT technology, but with a more refined experience designed to elevate the emotional edge. So now let's talk about how we have tried to make it more human using design specifically. So there are a few feature sets that we have implemented. Let's consider a normal conversation between two human, right? And we don't generally set context again and again out there. And this feature that I am going to talk about is also inspired by the same idea. We provided an option to define the context of the overall conversation, so that AI model remembers the context all the time and does not feel artificial. So this helped us make it more natural to human experiences. And another feature that comes into my mind is to provide the nested question functionality. So it is to keep the context clear and giving users the control to seek information from multiple dimensions, right? So that's the another example. So the philosophy behind providing these features was that when we interact with these application, we are not just looking for information, but we are also seeking for some understanding and companionship. So the AI's capability to respond with empathy, humor, and a touch of personality makes the conversation feel more natural and engaging. And this is emotional design at work, where the AI uses sentiment analysis to gauge the user's mood and adjust its responses accordingly. In the future, I see emotional design in conversational interfaces become more sophisticated. Imagine Verbi not just understand your words, but also pick up on the small details in your language and provide a peek into your emotional state. It could, provide you more emotionally soothing answers if you were feeling down, or boost your morale in off scenarios. So they definitely will be capable of detecting and adapting to these complex emotional cues, leading to more nuanced and supportive interactions.
I must say, I am impressed with that detailed explanation of emotional design in conversational interfaces that you just gave, especially the push to make a text based system like Verbi more emotionally aware. I think the move towards making these interactions more dynamic and human is fascinating, suggesting we are nearing a point where digital companions can grasp both the substance and the sentiment of a conversation. So, to sum it up, emotional design is not an afterthought. Rather, it's a necessity for creating engaging digital platforms. It's what turns an ordinary experience into an extraordinary one. And in an increasingly digital world, that's not just nice to have, it's what will set successful platforms apart. And with that, we come to the end of a truly engaging and thought provoking discussion. I would like to extend my heartfelt thank you to our guest Ravan Kumar for sharing his expertise and insights into the evolving world of user experience. Thank you, Ravan.
Thank you, Anmol. It was a wonderful experience talking about emotions in design and how we tap into a few UX laws and philosophy behind it overall. So I'm eager to see how these, minute yet critical aspects in design will evolve in the future. And I believe that we can anticipate a seamless integration of design elements that are so intuitive that they, mirror human behavior and thought patterns. Thanks.
Surely, Ravan, we have an exciting future ahead. Now, last but not least, a big thank you to our listeners for tuning in. And if you're looking to ramp up your design game for digital platforms, speak to our experts at Unthinkable Solutions. For more details, visit our website. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Unthinkable Tech Podcast so that you never miss out on the latest innovation in the technology landscape. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Keep listening.